Bears, Packers, and now we have NFL Sunday, like they were just talking about. So go ahead and continue.
Well, Green
Hold
Bay,
on.
Chicago, from a completely general fan standpoint, and I'm Green Bay Packers, bleed green and gold. Obviously, Jalen, you're a Bears fan, but can we agree, regardless of outcome, guys, that game was peak NFL? Just from a
It's,
general fan
Yeah,
standpoint, that was one
it
of
was
the
up
best
there.
games this season.
it was good.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I had to
absolutely.
It's really
rewatch
good.
probably the worst night of my sports fandom all over again without even knowing it. But other than that,
Feels
yeah.
good to clinch a playoff spot early though. Just to pat myself on the back here, you know what I'm saying? My team is in the playoffs right now. Look, if the Lions lose somehow to 9 or whoever plays Boozmer on Thursday for Christmas, you guys clinch. Now, yeah, I agree with that. We'll get to that in a minute actually.
We had
We'll go
multiple
over some of
games
that.
of the year.
I
this
also
week.
agree. I mean,
But
it was peak, but this was somehow better. The Seahawks Rams was somehow better than that.
so the game Bears Packers. I'll just say this: I'm still not convinced about Caleb Williams, and people might find me crazy for saying that, but the reason I say that is because he didn't do much again in the first half. Okay, he did not do much in the first half again, but the second half, Malik Willis came in. Malik Willis was outplaying him. It's truth. He was outplaying him the entire game that they were going against each other. Now Jordan Love came in that game. I think you guys might have won. I mean, Willis did his job, but if Love is in that game, I don't think a lot of that stuff happens. I think the game is on pace to on the Packers side of the game, and all that. But Ben Johnson had a spectacular game plan. So did Matt LaFleur as well. But Ben Johnson, he knows that this team turns up a lot in the fourth quarter, which we've seen all year. We can go back to some games like the Bears Bengals game, for example. It's one of the biggest games of the year where they just came back, and the Bengals came back, but the Bears retaliated, and that's exactly what they did against the Packers. They made the right plays at the right times, and they were able to score on all the opportunities that they were given. But at the same time, I'm just not convinced yet. I think Caleb Williams is great. He's going to be great, but right now I still got to see more. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think they should have won that game. I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but just from a pure football standpoint and me loving football, I think the Packers just kind of lost that game. I don't think they would have lost that game if they just were on point. Those little mistakes turn into big mistakes every time. In NFL, that was more like a playoff game. That's one of those games where it's like, well, if you mess up once, they're gonna make you pay for it. And that's what the Bears did. So congratulations to the Bears. I'm just saying, I just don't think that they are. I don't think they're better than the Packers. I don't. Not yet.
The thing with me is, and like a couple thoughts from this. One, Caleb Williams might not be like a great four-quarter quarterback, but by God, is he clutch. It's every time they need a clutch drive from him, he's been able to deliver this year. Even last year, I mean, there were times where he put them in a position to win at the end of the game. I don't like his nickname, the Iceman, because it means he's good, but he does what he needs to in the fourth quarter. He's clutch. He gets the ball where it needs to go. He can avoid sacks probably better than I would say anyone in the league. And then also, going back to the Packers side, I think Willis did a great job until the fourth quarter, and that's where you need a closer. That's where you need a starting quarterback like Jordan Love to put together a drive where you can get a touchdown at the end, really ice the game. Obviously, the onside kick happened, and then I think finally that goes back to Matt LaFleur, and like we can talk about, this and this goes right, they win. But this happens every year with them. If you think about it, like Tampa Bay, if Kevin King doesn't do this, 2021, if the special teams goes correctly. At the end of the day, like I'm not saying I've reversed my course on him getting fired, but there are little things that seem to happen every single year that just aren't quite buttoned up to what they need to be, and that's a problem.
I don't think you can put that game on coaching though. I think he had a great game plan going into it.
I'm not saying it is on him. I'm just saying the overall body of work, the reason, like there's always little things like, if we do this, this game.
I think you can pin this one on coaching because it happened in the first drive. Take the points. Why?
Yeah,
I get it's a rivalry. I get it's high stakes. I
thing.
get you want to really shift the tides early. But look what happened the rest of the way. You went to overtime and lost. You know what happens if you take your points? you don't go to overtime. It's that simple. Getting too risky too soon. And you know the mood of this team. If one little thing goes wrong, the entire team shuts down. It's happened
That's been
game in and game out all season long. And like you said, Chris, it's been a thing for a while with Matt LaFleur coach teams. That one thing goes wrong, and it's like the wheels fall off the freaking truck. Okay, you can't rely on that. And then obviously on top of that, you got bailed out by the Bears not converting on their own 4th down and short on the other end of the field on that second drive. But that's besides the point. You take the points. I know it was windy. You're about 25 yards out. Kick the dang ball. Then you don't go to overtime. Then none of this happens.
But Ben Johnson did the same exact thing the next drive, and it was still 0-0 the entire game until the Packers scored first, and the Bears didn't score until the fourth quarter. That game was more on the players. That game is more on the players than it was on coaching.
Fumbling on the 3-yard line.
That's more on the players. You fumble and then you fumble. You fumble the special teams.
Dobbs deserves blame for backing up on that onside and not being able to recover it. But at the same time, this happens every week. You can't just blame the players every single time for their mistakes.
No, we're not blaming the players every single time.
Coach too,
no, I'm blaming Keyshawn Nixon 100%.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Keyshawn Nixon is not getting any breaks here.
There's Keyshawn Nixon.
Keyshawn Nixon.
It's Romeo Dobbs. It was Josh Jacobs. I mean, Malik Willis fumbled the snap where he could have got them in the first round. I don't think Matt LaFleur had the game plan. You guys are supposed to score.
The thing is, right? I don't think this game individually is necessarily on him, but this happens every single time they lose. There's always
not his fault. This game is not his fault, though.
But you could say that about pretty much every game. At some point, the collective has to start adding up on the coach because it happens over and over and over again.
But when are we going to – I mean, Jordan Love wasn't playing great when he was in either. I mean, it wasn't a great game by the players. I think the coaches had their game plan set in stone. They were great in the coaching staff this week, I think. Now, if you want to look back to other games like the Panthers game or something like that, that's on LaFleur. That game's completely on LaFleur. This game, the players were just making mistakes left and right. They had the play set up completely to go score. Josh Jacobs fumbles.
Here's my counter to this really quick. How many times this year would you guys say that the Packers have been genuinely outplayed by their opponents? I would say one, and it was last week. Philadelphia, they beat themselves. Cleveland, they beat themselves. Dallas, they didn't lose, but they basically beat themselves. Carolina, they beat themselves.
I don't think the Broncos are even better.
Chicago, they beat themselves. It happens almost every single time they play. And a couple of times, like against Arizona, they were able to bail themselves out at the end. Like this just happens over and over and over and over again. At what point does it start to fall on the coaching?
There's a world in which this Green Bay team still hasn't lost a game yet. And there's also a world in which this Green Bay team is 3-12 going into this coming week. Like they're so over under in every single matchup, and they make so many mistakes. And it really does partly come down to coaching flaws. It comes down to play calling scheme that just isn't working. Now, the Malik Willis thing, the Malik Willis conundrum here. I think Malik Willis is the best backup in the National Football League. I think there's a case to even call him a top 25 quarterback in football right now. He could start on probably 7 to 8 franchises right now. That's besides the point, though. The Malik Willis conundrum is that Matt LaFleur dumbs down the playbook so much when Malik Willis has to come on the field in crunch time. Okay? And that's what you're supposed to do. Okay? That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But don't tell me that Malik, none of you guys said this, but this has been a narrative that's been pushed around on Packers Twitter and just from Packers fans in general, even since earlier last year when Malik Willis had to play 2 games and won us them both, right? In against Indianapolis and against Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. Don't tell me that Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Jordan Love. He is not. Not one bit. I made the joke Saturday, but it was a joke. It's not true. Malik Willis is not a better quarterback than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has a lot more ability to free up the playbook and kind of do what he wants to do, right? He's a better play creator than Malik Willis. Malik Willis is a scrambler. He doesn't create plays downfield. He creates plays when the pocket collapses and he needs to run because that's what he's more talented at than Jordan Love. He's more of a running quarterback. However, Malik Willis, like I just said, the playbook gets dumbed down whenever he has to step on the field. The Bears are not preparing for a one-read offense out on the field. They're preparing for more schematics. They're preparing for more complexities in the playbook. Matt LaFleur, when Malik Willis has to go out there, you read the one outside linebacker. You read the will. If he cuts one way, you throw the flat. If he backs up the other, you have the post route right there. You have the slant route. You have an in route. You have a lot of different just one read combinations. Outside of that, the one play I saw that was a little different where Malik Willis actually went through his progressions and stepped up and checked in the pocket was that touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs. That was the only play. Outside of that, maybe one other with Luke Musgrave, and that was it, where he actually went through some progressions. Everything else, quick one read, maybe two reads, and then get out of the pocket if neither of those are open. He is not a better quarterback than Jordan Love. He does not have the throwing abilities of Jordan Love. He does not have the playmaking abilities of Jordan Love. He doesn't even have the arm of Jordan Love. Their arm strength is roughly about the same. I'd give it to Love. I think Love can air it out just a little bit more. Do not tell me with a straight face that Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Jordan Love. I was told we should trade Jordan Love this offseason and just ride with Malik Willis.
Well,
Malik Willis is a free agent, right? You know he's a free agent?
Hold on.
You don't even have either of them if you trade Jordan Love.
Sam, they say the backup quarterback is the most popular player on any roster because if the starter struggles, everyone immediately turns to the backup.
So hold on. I want to comment on Malik Willis because I'm a big fan of Malik Willis. A lot of things you said are correct, but I want to make things clear.
I like him too.
He does have a great arm. He just has not had a chance to showcase it. Okay. The Titans did not give him that chance because they were horrible organization. Now he moved to Green Bay, became a backup. That's completely fine. One of the best jobs you'll ever have
Jordan played the first half of both of those games, Penny.
What?
Well, not only that, Jordan didn't look good in either of said first halves. Like, we can talk about, if Love was out there, and that was my immediate reaction too. But if you take a step back with that, Love was not accurate on Saturday, and he was not accurate the last time the Packers played the Bears at Lambeau either. When Willis came in to relieve him, like Love, I thought he was a little sporadic in that first quarter. Like I saw a couple of his throws, and I'm like, man, just take a breath, please. Calm down.
So for Malik, I think
is a lot calmer of a quarterback.
He's calmer, and yes, you said there's a lot of differences between them two. No, I don't think anyone really actually means that Malik Willis is better than Jordan Love. It's just the things that Malik is better at, which is running and playing those zone reads when it comes to read options. Those short routes. I think he's better than that
for sure. Yeah,
right. I think that especially if you don't prepare for it all week, because the Bears had no idea that Malik Willis would be coming in and their game plan would completely have to shift into halftime, and it didn't. Their game plan didn't work because they didn't practice all week. So my thing is this: Malik Willis, yes, he's the best back. Well, he's got, if he's not the best, he has to be top 3. I think he is the best backup in the league, and I think he's going to be able to start somewhere. It's just the fact that he's going to be able to go to a different system is going to worry me a little bit because, the teams that kind of need a quarterback right now,
LaFleur, right? Yeah,
right. That's what I mean. That as well. Like I think his best chance at being good at a quarterback, a good starting quarterback, is either if he goes to Miami or the Cardinals. I mean, those guys. I mean, McDaniel will have him set. I think he's an offensive mastermind. He'll have that guy ready to go by next year. But if I'm the Packers. I think
Minnesota could be an interesting option.
That'd be interesting.
They have, once Darisaw and Kelly come back, he's still got JJ there. He's got Addison. He's got.
If you're the Packers,
I'm assuming they're going to address running back this offseason. Like that could be a scary team next year if they get.
I think the Packers have to try to, I think you guys would want to keep him, give him a $8 million for backup a year or something like that. But if I'm him, I'm saying no. Obviously, if I have another chance at starting somewhere, but. Just to have that backup from Jordan Love if something goes wrong, Malik Willis is going to be there all the time, but I don't think he's going to stay. But it's just one of those things. I think he's a great quarterback. I've always thought he was great. I think Tennessee wasted his beginning of his career. I think him and Trey Lance have gotten kind of just kind of effed over a little bit in their careers, early start of their careers. I think they're both great quarterbacks and they're going to be able to start somewhere eventually down the line. But for Malik Willis, I think everything you said was right, Sam. I think he does have better capabilities in his strong suits, which is running the short routes. I think his deep ball is very good. He has a moon ball. He has a Russell Wilson moon ball that no one gets to see because he doesn't play. So his abilities are still very NFL worthy. He's very good NFL caliber quarterback. It's just we haven't seen it yet. We haven't been able to. So I agree with you. He's not better than Jordan Love, but I wouldn't sleep on Malik Willis if I were you.
Oh no, I'm not. I think he's a good quarterback. I really do. I started the segment with that, and yeah, like Jalen, like you said, I said there's about 7 or 8 teams that I think he would genuinely start on, and those I don't know about the Seahawks, but I know Browns, Giants, Vikings. I think you could justify maybe the Giants to a Jackson Dart, but
do not go to.
So let's go on to the rest of the NFL though. Why not? While we still have the time. 5 playoff spots have now been decided in each conference. The Broncos, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Chargers, and the Bills are all locked into a playoff spot in the AFC. And the NFC, the Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, Niners, and Rams are now all locked into a playoff spot. The Steelers, first place in the AFC North. There's a chance that Baltimore could still come back, but the Steelers, for the 22nd straight season, have clinched a 500 or better record.
Bears to the Super Bowl, Penny. Don't make me laugh on this.
My problem is with that. Before we get to the rest of the
there's a lot of problems with that.
They play with fire too much, far too much for my liking. Like,
they don't play good.
This team, they obviously have talent. Caleb has been incredibly clutch, but if you play with fire enough, you're going to get burnt. They haven't really gotten burnt too badly this season yet, but I think that's where you saw this with the Vikings in 2022. They had, a 13-4 record? They got burnt in the playoffs. It just happens. Like, teams that eke by all season, except for the Chiefs last year, and I mean, they even got burnt in the Super Bowl last year by the Eagles. Eventually, if you play with fire too much, you're going to get burnt. Sure, they got away with it this weekend, but if Romeo Doubs recovers that onside, that game's basically over.
If whoever our 4th-string defensive lineman doesn't have a face mask in the most inopportune time, the game is over. On that Lucas Van Ness sack on 3rd and 20? That gave him 15 and an automatic first. So
if Keyshawn Dixon
does anything, if he does literally anything.
Hey, Jalen, can you talk about your Bears and Broncos, bro? You've been sitting there kind of idle.
I just been, just taking it all in. Now y'all crashing out for Packers. I love seeing it. I would just take it all in because I don't see this too often.
Go ahead.
If you watch this after any playoff game, man, you see this every year.
But as for the Bears, I mean, I do agree with Chris. Like, you play with fire, you will get burnt. But as to my Broncos, the Jags are good. I mean, they're darn good. I mean,
nice. Right they are.
That team is.
I just say that Travis. Woo-wee! Them boys.
They did that without Travis Hunter too. So it's like they're gonna be a problem for years to come, and they're gonna be very special. We all were calling for Trevor Lawrence's head at the beginning of the season. I remember that.
Playing the best football of his career right now.
Well, not only that, look at how Baker's playing this. Look at how Baker's playing this year with Tampa. Now, I know he's injured and he's been banged up, but you see what Liam Cohen's doing in Jacksonville and the inverse in Tampa Bay. I think you got to give a lot of credit to Liam Cohen here, too. I think he's been the mastermind of that Tampa offense, made them into a legitimate, not Super Bowl favorite, but a threat to make it far in the NFC. And this year, they're behind Carolina. And say what you want about them, but Tampa has a lot more talent on paper.
He's active in the chat because the Bears beat the Packers. That's like pretty much pretty much every Bears fan throughout their entire.
They've been victory lapping so hard the last
Super Bowl, bro.
That's what I was telling my sister and my mom last night when we were talking about it. We was like, I understand that we did win that game, but we're not at 11-14. Like,
also at the same time, there's a very high probability we'll be playing again in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to play the Packers again in the playoffs. And the way that they talking is they talking crazy, and I'm like
crazy as hell.
Like every Bears fan know it deep down inside that we are not at 11-14. Sure, the record says that, but we do not play like an 11-14. Because we wait to the second half of the 2-minute warning to actually play football.
Haven't you guys won 6 one-score games now this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
that's like 6 come from behind wins. That's pretty impressive.
You could easily be, what's that? You could easily
that's
be
most in franchise history.
Or 5-12. Excuse me. 5
if Matt Eberflus is the coach of this team, they're probably still out of the playoffs if you think about it that way. Mm-hmm. That's where you got to give credit to Ben Johnson. He's able to conjure up the game plan at the end. He knows how to manage things better than Flus did. The roster's obviously a lot better this year. You got to give Poles credit for addressing the offensive line so heavily. And Joe Thuney's been an absolute game changer for them as well.
I just tell ourselves
he's been able to shore up that offensive line in ways that I don't think a lot of us thought they were going to. He's been an all-pro level player this year.
I'd just be like, put us against another 11-14, like the Broncos, the Patriots, the Seahawks. Now we have to play the 49ers. So now we'll really see how good we are when we play the 49ers when we play at 11-14.
That's actually on our level. They're on fire.
11-14.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The Niners are on fire. That's why they're my 1 seed.
So we'll see this week. And,
look, I have something to say about the Niners quick. They are on pace to probably put up, if they do this, okay, probably one of the greatest seasons of all time. Now, let me explain. So many injuries. Brock Purdy's out half the year. Mac Jones comes in, takes the reins, and wins them the game that they're supposed to win. Okay, they lose their best defensive players, a future Hall of Famer Fred Warner, and then Nick Bosa, their best D lineman. They lose their best wide receiver gives up on them in the middle of the season. They lose another wide receiver for like a few weeks. Kittle's out for 5 weeks. Their O-line's banged up the entire year, and they're still somehow in the conversation to get the 1 seed, to go to the Super Bowl, to have the games, go through San Francisco, to just end up back in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. Now, that would be in my opinion, that would be the greatest season of all time by any team because of all the things that were happening to them this season. Now, I don't think that they're going to make Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get the 1 seed either. I think the Rams and the Seahawks are far ahead of them, and just team-wise, I think their teams are just better. And I don't think the Niners will be able to do what they are destined to do, which is host a Super Bowl game like the Tampa Bay did the other few years ago. But I mean, I just thinking about it, like, bro, things that this team has had to go through. Brock Purdy coming back playing lights out. I mean, Christian McCaffrey not being injured the entire year, really. I mean, he's had a scare, I think, like 2 weeks ago before they played the Browns.
Still too.
And he's arguably their MVP. Probably should be in MVP conversations, considering he's the best running back and the best wide receiver on their team. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, bro, this team is. I mean, Kyle Shanahan deserves like Coach of the Year in my opinion, just for that. But he's not going to win it because Vrabel's just unreal over there in New England. So it's just one of those things, like, just to keep in mind. Like, this team.
Go ahead. We got a few minutes. Just go ahead and start the list.
But yeah. So for this list. It's a little bit different this week. We're not going to do cooked and baked, but we're going to do top 10 games of the season so far. And we're going to start off with these. There's a lot of honorable mentions. You can say Chiefs, Jags. You can say Chargers, Eagles, and Chargers, Broncos, first time they match up. You can say all these types of games, Chiefs, Bills. You can say whatever you want. But these are my top. This is one of the best NFL seasons we've ever seen in this decade, especially. And I'll explain. So my one honorable mention that I'll put just to save time is Lions versus Steelers. DK punched the fan. Crazy calls towards the end of the game. It's one of those games where it's just like, wow, okay, like this game's weird. Lions somehow managed to come back. Vintage Rodgers in Detroit. We all know what he does to Detroit. The score ended with 29-24 Steelers. One of the better games of the year, but not top 10. Number 10, Packers-Bears, part 2, self-explanatory. We just went over it in lots of, WTF moments. Score 22-16 OT, Bears. We talked about it, so I'm not getting into it. But number 9, let Russ cook versus the Cowgirls, week 2. Neighbors and Slayton, wow. Brandon Aubrey, 64-yarder for OT. You had vintage Russell Wilson in that game, one of the better games of the season. I think it was a beautiful moment for him, even though he lost his starting spot later on. But ultimately, the Cowboys ended up winning that game 40-37. Now, this is, by the way, this is just for now. These are just the better games for now this season. This isn't just the entire season. We still have 2-3 weeks to go. So that's number 9. Number 8, Panthers versus Rams. Bryce Young breakout game. Rams elite, but not enough to win this game, as Matt Stafford had a pretty troubling game. And Devontae Adams had a great game. Puka Nacua had one of the better catches this game of the season. But top 3 upsets of this season, T-Mac 50-yard bomb for a touchdown to win them this game, and then the defense came in clutch to stop the offense from running down the field and tying the game potentially to win that game, or to send that game to overtime and potentially win it. But other than that, I mean, the score ended up 31-28. North Carolina, one of the better games of the year. Super fun game to watch. Recommend go watching that game if you haven't yet. Number 7, Bucs Seahawks. Fire jersey matchup. Baker Mayfield, 29 for 33, 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. Darnold, 28 for 34, 341 yards, 4 titties. Number 1 and number 2 in the 2018 draft, and also both played for the same team at the same time, the North Carolina Panthers. Now, this is one of the games that this was a crazy game. This seemed like a playoff matchup. It's still possible to be a playoff matchup if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make playoffs, which I hope they don't. I hope the Panthers make it, but that would be a very cool game to witness again, but this time in Tampa, not in Seattle. The score ended up 38-35 Buccaneers, and that is just the first half of this list. Real quick, we're going to go top 10. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. Nope, that's 1B. Here we go. Number 6. Okay, probably the weirdest. A lot of this may be controversial, but Commanders versus Broncos. Mariota Magic, okay? Almost upset the horses. One of the crazier endings you'll see. Also, best catch of the decade by 13 on the Commanders. Mariota threw 2 touchdowns towards the end of the game to win it, and had Nichols wide open, but it was batted down. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get that, but it was a crazy game overall because the Broncos were on their heels the entire game to a Commanders team that's really not performed well this year. I think that was one of the better games to watch, considering Mariota. I think Mariota's the top 3 backup in the league, just doesn't have the great foundation around him. He's fresh because he doesn't get hit much, because he became a backup around his 5th year in the league. Now, the score ended up 27-20 Broncos. Great game overall. Number 5, Jets Bengals. Okay. Now, you may look at this and be like, how? Okay. But if you remember correctly, Nick Mangold passes away and Jets down 2 scores in the 4th quarter, come back and win it. Breece Hall, game-winning passing touchdown. The Jets collapse, or the Broncos collapse. Sorry, not the Broncos. The Bengals collapse. Okay. And no Joe Burrow at the time. Joe Flacco was there. And I mean, this was Aaron Glenn's, I think, first win of the season. And it was just one of those games like, what the hell's going on? That was his career. Yes, correct. And it was one of the better games of the year. And it was just shocking. Like, Aaron Glenn, maybe you can turn the season around for the Jets. Obviously, that didn't happen. They still don't have an interception on the year. But the score ended up 39-38 Jets, one of the better games. Now, number 4, Broncos Giants week 7. What a game. That game was nuts. Bo Nix breakout 4th quarter, 19-0 Giants 4th quarter. Okay. Going into the 4th quarter, then the Broncos come back and win 33-32. That means that they put up 33 in 1 quarter to win this game. Jalen, I know you love that game.
Nuts.
Because you were hype as hell after this game.
I remember hearing the score being 26-8 halfway through the 4th quarter and being like, man, it really wasn't the Broncos' day today, was it?
Yeah, and guess what?
So you know what? Watch this. Hold this real quick.
And guess what? He sure did, and they win. The Broncos win 33-32. Now, I don't blame Jackson Dart at all, because Ryan Daboll was still the coach at the time, and who knows, if they won this game, maybe Daboll would have still been the coach of the Giants.
He's probably still the coach right now, honestly.
Right. And this game was one of those games that you had to just put him away. You couldn't let him get away with something like that. But I think I forgot to put the 3 on here. Hold on, let me see. No, I didn't. Bears versus Bengals, number 3. This was also just a wild game. It was just so stupid. Craziest final 2 minutes you'll ever see. Loveland game winner, 41-27 with 1:47 left. Bengals score twice and take the lead on a 2-point conversion. Okay, this is Joe Flacco playing, by the way. Bengals are so pathetic on defense that they let Loveland win with 27 seconds left on a seam route up the middle. I mean, barely touched. Loveland just runs it in for a touchdown. Score 47-42 Bears. One of those wild games. Number 2, as we were talking about before, Rams Seahawks part 2. Vegas had no idea who was winning this game. I was looking at the betting lines that game, and it was 0-0. It was tied. Didn't know which team was going to win this game. It was that crazy. I mean, I thought the Rams were going to win because they were up 30-14 going into the 3rd quarter, I believe, or middle of the 3rd quarter. And towards the end of the 3rd quarter, Sam Darnold just, put his helmet back on and started going at it. And Sam Darnold, game winner. That game ended with, let me see, 38-37 Seahawks. So that was one of the better games of the season for me. But that was a wild game. That was last Thursday, by the way. I recommend go watching that if you haven't already. Now, 1B and 1A, okay? Now, I couldn't pick a game. I couldn't pick which one that I liked better. The Unk Bowl, 1B. If you remember correctly, A-Rod versus Flacco. I mean, I don't even need to explain it. Prime Rodgers and Flacco matchup. Unreal game, offensive masterpiece. Looked like we were watching the 2015 Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Flacco. It was one of the better games of the year. The Unk Bowl, I call it. Score 33-31 Bengals. Joe Flacco got the best of Aaron Rodgers. The first time they matched up this season. Now, 1A, I think is still the better game, best game of the year. Ravens-Bills week 1. I think that was easily the craziest, most hyped game so far. No stats need to be said. Just pure bullshit on Harbaugh and coaching and Derrick Henry fumbling. So much drama. Josh Allen gifted the win because the Ravens just collapsed and doesn't know how to keep a lead. Just one of those classic games that you're going to see from the better quarterbacks of our generation. So, simple, just a cinema game, score 41-40 Bills. Obviously, this list might be updated depending on what we see the next few weeks. Obviously, we're going to get some playoff implications coming down the line. But that's my list of, the games of the year. If you guys have any comments, and if you guys have any games that you remember that weren't mentioned, let me know and we can talk about it.
I just want to say before we move on to something else, shout out Phillip Rivers for playing. I thought
he played a great
good game last night. I think his defense, it felt like it was back in the Charger days where he'd have a good game. Defense would sell him. Yeah. I mean, 44 years old, his mind is still clearly there. His arm might not be anymore, but he's got a brain for the game, and it was fun to watch.
He was still there, kind of. He was throwing some deep bombs every now and then.
He just had to kind of like moon him a little bit. You had to get a lot of air underneath him to get him there. But we talked about this pre-show, Nazir. This might be the end of the road for Phillip Rivers now too, because the Colts are basically out of the playoffs. Like, what good does trotting out 45-year-old Phillip Rivers do for the Colts going forward, right? You might as well let Riley Leonard get in there and get the experience and just keep Phillip Rivers around. I'm not saying you have to cut him, but you keep him around as like that veteran presence for a young quarterback, as someone that can be like a calming mind for Riley Leonard going in the last 2 weeks of the year when all hope seems lost, right? Or you trot Phillip Rivers out there and who knows what happens, right? Just a nice little swan song ending to the season.
Yeah. So
I mean, does it really help them to play Riley Leonard though? Like, he's clearly probably not a starter in the
It doesn't help them to do either. Like, they're not making the playoffs anymore. So it helps that they have Daniel Jones healthy, but they don't. So
I think you just let whatever they rest of the year. Why not?
They could. There's nothing. You can't go wrong either way.